concept of a fast tank destroyer for the Italian army was conceived during the Cold War in order to replace some vehicles then in Italian service, such as the then obsolete M47 Patton. Such a vehicle was also meant to support the slower M60A3 Patton and Leopard 1A2 tanks in the defense of the Adriatic coast areas, where the armies of the Warsaw Pact could have landed if war had broken out. It was also meant to defend the rear lines from paratrooper landings, as well as to attack armored fighting vehicles that had broken through the NATO lines towards the heart of Italy. The Consortium IVECO-FIAT OTO-Melara, or CIO, was working on projects for new light infantry fighting vehicles at that time. In order to save on costs on the project, CIO tried to create a tank destroyer starting from the Fiat 6614 and 6616 prototypes, armed with a 90mm cannon in a turret on a modified hull. Welcome to a new Tank Encyclopedia voiced article. I'm your host Stan, and this video has been sponsored by our patrons. If you like our content, written or in video format, please do consider donating on Patreon or PayPal. You can find links in the description. In 1983 and 1984, CIO presented to the Italian army 3 different prototypes. 2 were IFVs using a 4x4 configuration, the AVL6634 and the AVM6633, developed from the Fiat 6614. The last one was a 6x6 tank destroyer armed with a Cockerill Mark III 90mm low-pressure gun in a new Otto Breda turret, the AVH6636. The AVL6634 prototype was accepted and, after some modifications, became the 4x4 VBL Puma. The AVH6636, however, was not accepted, and the Italian army began thinking that developing a wheeled tank destroyer instead of a new light tank that supported the MBTs would save a lot of money. The army requested that the vehicle should mount a standard main battle tank 105mm cannon instead of the 90mm one. In order to speed up the development and production of the vehicle, the High Command of the Army decided to spend most of the research budget available on this project by slowing down or cancelling the development of other vehicles, such as the MBT C1 Ariete and the OF-40. In order to meet the needs of the Italian army, the turret was redesigned, and it was realized by CIO that a 6-wheeled hull was no longer able to withstand the weight of the new turret and the new cannon. Thus, the CIO technicians stretched the hull, adding another wheel axle and transforming the vehicle into an 8x8. This was the first prototype of the B1 Centauro. It was lightly armored but fast, wheeled and armed with a powerful cannon equivalent to those of first-line MBTs in service during this period. At the end of 1984, the first 9 prototypes were ready. After long tests of firing stability, moving through rough terrain and protection, the new vehicle was presented to the Italian Army High Command. The presented prototype of the wheeled tank destroyer was armed with the Cannone OTO-Melara 105-52 gun and would become the B1 Centauro. The first pre-series model was shown for the first time in 1987 at Monte Romano in the north of Rome during an exhibition of new Italian weapon systems, along with the VBL Puma 4x4 and the C1 Ariete MBT, at the time called Tricolore. Adopted in 1989 with the name B1 Centauro, the tank destroyer was delivered to Italian army regiments only in 1992 due to financial problems and some changes. Production for the Italian army ended in 2006 and saw 400 vehicles produced, of which 141 are no longer in active service. The Spanish army has 84 vehicles designated VRCC-105. In August 2008, the Royal Guard of Oman made an order for 9 vehicles of a second version, with a different turret armed with a 120-45mm gun and a 650 horsepower engine. In 2014, the 141 B1 Centauros that were decommissioned by the Italians were sold at a favorable price to Jordan. The Centauro remains, along with the Japanese Type 16 MCV, and the United States M1128 MGS, one of the few tank destroyers adopted which uses a 105mm cannon. There are other wheeled vehicles armed with 105mm cannons in use around the world, such as the Taiwanese CM32, the Chinese Type 11, the Finnish Patria AMV, the Canadian LAV 105, the Austrian Panda 2, the Swiss Mowak Piranha, and the French AMX 10RC, and others, but these are primarily meant for other duties, and tank destroying forms a secondary role. The Centauro's main armament consists of a 105mm L52 high-pressure cannon, the Cannone OTO-Melara 105-52 low recoilless fitting, produced by Otto Breda of La Spezia. This gun offers the same firepower as some of its Western-influenced contemporary tanks, such as the Leopard 1, the M1 Abrams, the Merkava 2, and the AMX 30. The cannon can shoot different types of ammunition produced in Italy and all NATO standard ammunition types. 2 APFS-DS-T shells which use tungsten instead of depleted uranium, the M735 and the DM33, the M456 Heat FS round, and the Hesh M393 round. In addition, it can fire the L28 and L35 rounds of the British Royal Ordnance L7 cannon, from which the cannon was developed. The gun has 14 ready-to-use rounds placed on the left side of the turret basket and another 26 in the hull, in 2 removable 13-round side racks. Beginning from the first production vehicles, the barrel of the cannon is covered by a thermal sleeve to prevent distortions, and with a smoke extractor which prevents smoke from entering the fighting compartment after firing, thus intoxicating the crew. At the end of the barrel, over the pepperbox muzzle brake, there is a characteristic multi-chamber flame arrestor that reduces the recoil by 40% and reduces the muzzle flash, making the shot harder to observe by the enemy. The main gun elevation is from -6 to +15 degrees, and the turret can make a 360-degree turn in 11 seconds. A rate of fire of 8 rounds per minute can be achieved, and the gun is stabilized on 3 axes for precise shooting even when driving over rough terrain. The secondary armament consists of 2 or 3 7.62mm Beretta MG42/59 or Rheinmetall MG3 machine guns. One is coaxial to the gun and the others are on anti-aircraft mounts on the roof, operated by the vehicle commander and by the loader. The ammunition for the machine guns consists of 4,000 rounds in 16 belt magazines. The big difference between the Rheinmetall MG3 and the Beretta MG42/59 is the rate of fire. The Beretta MG42/59 mounted on the Italian vehicles is less maintenance intensive due to the wear of the slower rate of fire of 800 rounds per minute, while the Rheinmetall MG3 has a rate of 1,300 rounds per minute and, in prolonged combat, there is a risk of overheating the barrel. During many clashes with the Somali rebels in Mogadishu, where the Centauros were often not allowed to use their main armament but only the machine guns, the MG42/59s were very useful, as they could shoot hundreds of rounds before they overheated. In addition to these weapons, the B1 Centauro is equipped with 8 smoke launchers positioned in 2 groups of 4 on the sides of the turret. These are the 80mm Galix self-defense system produced by the French company Giat Lacroix Defense, controlled by the basic automatic system control unit. The launch tubes weigh 3.9 kilograms and have an elevation arc of 11 degrees. They can be loaded with various types of grenades: ECL illuminating, FUM smoke grenades, special FUM-B smoke, LACRI anti-riot with tear gas, APDR anti-personnel with 2 shrapnel submunitions, APTCP anti-personnel with shrapnel and flashbang charge, and Liur to trick infrared guided missiles. The most common Galix grenade used on the B1 Centauro, and possibly the only ones bought by the Italian army, is the FUM-B. Each launcher is equipped with 3 rounds, each able to create a smokescreen for 60 seconds at 60 meters from the vehicle. 0.2 seconds after activation, in mid-air, the first anti-infrared radiation submunition disperses a very fine metal dust, making the B1 Centauro invisible to infrared visors for 30 seconds. At 0.5 and 0.7 seconds after firing, the other 2 smoke-producing submunitions explode, creating a smokescreen that makes the armored car invisible to classic optics for a minute. On prototypes and pre-series vehicles, 76mm Krauss-Maffei Wegemann smoke grenades taken from the Leopard 1 and 2 were mounted. These were then replaced with the Galax 80s. The turret was produced by Otto Breda of La Spezia and was supplied fully prepared for installation on the hull. It has 2 hatches for the vehicle commander and loader. The commander has 4 periscopes, while the loader has 5 periscopes on the sides of the turret. The main armament is stabilized on free axis and has the same fire control system as the MBT-C1 Ariete, the 3rd generation TURMS OG-I4L3 computer developed by Officine Galileo Avionica, which is supposed to guarantee excellent firing performance. For supervising the battlefield and directing the gunner, the vehicle commander has a model SFIM SP-T-694 2-axis stabilized panoramic binocular periscope developed by SFIM and Officine Galileo. It is mounted on the right side of the turret and controlled with a joystick. It has a 16-bit fully digital microprocessor with a magnification from by 2.5 to by 10 on the day channel and from by 2.5 to by 6 for the night channel. This periscope was developed for the self-propelled anti-aircraft gun produced by OTO-Melara, the Automatic, and after that was modified, improved and mounted on the C1 Ariete and B1 Centauro. This is integrated with a high-performance FCS project by SEPA with an infrared viewer night camera that can rotate independently from the turret. This can rotate a full 360 degrees and has an elevation from -10 to +60 degrees, with a field of view of 20 degrees at a magnification of by 2.5 and 5 degrees at by 10. If the gunner's sight is broken or has some problems, this periscope can be aligned with the axis of the main cannon and used to aim. The commander of the vehicle can find and identify targets without rotating the turret by using the independent panoramic sight. He can also use it to aim the main gun in order for the gunner to then engage. This permits the B1 Centauro's crew to work on engaging more than one target at a time, day and night and in all weather conditions. While the gunner neutralizes the first target, the tank commander can find others, identify them one at a time, and send the data to the computer. As soon as the gunner has eliminated the first target, the targeting computer will turn the gun automatically to the second target, which can be engaged once the loader has finished the loading operation. The TURMS has an intelligence, surveillance, target acquisition and reconnaissance system using a Selenia detector positioned on the right side of the turret in front of the tank loader's hatch. This system can find targets of a size of about 2.3 by 2.3 meters at a distance of about 3 kilometers. It can do accurate range finding up to a distance of 1,800 meters and can identify and aim with a first hit probability of 100% at 1,500 meters. With the anemometer that provides TURMS with data on the outside temperature, air humidity and wind speed, the system makes the necessary corrections to aim the gun and provide a very high possibility of hitting the target the first time, even at distances of over 1,500 meters. The gunner's sight is stabilized and has a magnification of by 10. It includes a thermal camera equipped with wipers and armored doors that open or close in 0.7 seconds to protect it from shrapnel, bullets or dust. The camera is divided into 2 parts, a long-wave infrared radiation lens and a mid-wave infrared radiation lens for the day and night channel and laser telemeter. The thermal image from this detector can be seen by the commander on a special display built by Larimart SPA. The digital shooting computer Cosmo MP501-D, built by Marconi, manages all the data received from the various external sensors and the many commands from the gunner and the vehicle commander. Cosmo is able to reconfigure itself to take over the tasks of any secondary equipment that is damaged or broken. Furthermore, the vehicle is equipped with various other systems. Such a system is the auxiliary telescopic sight produced by Officine Galileo, the OG C102 with by 8 magnification used in case the TURMS FCS breaks or stops working. It is located on the right of the gun coaxially with the cannon. There is also a gyroscopic device that verifies the attitude of the vehicle, a display for the gunner, a control panel for the loader, an intercom cable set, anemometer and an MTL-8 neodymium YAG laser transceiver module. This is produced by Alenia and is able to accurately measure the distance up to 10 kilometers away using a laser transceiver unit and laser electronic unit. There are also 2 commander displays, a warning system for the number of rounds stored in the vehicle, The muzzle reference system, which allows the gunner to constantly check the alignment of the cannon with the axis of the line of sight and correct it, and a second joystick with safety device for the commander, which allows him to rotate the turret to open fire, bypassing the gunner in case he is no longer able to do his tasks. The interior also contains a panel for deployment of the smoke grenades that has two modes for use. A panel for the commander which allows him to manage or modify different settings of some systems, such as the chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear system. As on the C1 Ariete, there is the possibility of shooting even when the vehicle is moving, thanks to the free axis stabilization of the cannon and the fire control system. This cannot be done at maximum speed though, being capable of doing so at speeds of up to 30 to 35 km per hour depending on the terrain, as the TOM system takes into account the speed of the vehicle on which it is installed, the speed of the target, and compensates for the effects due to the delays and non-linearity of the main weapon, giving the crew a high chance of hitting the target. The back of the turret has supports for two antennas. In fact, already during the production phase, the radio system was updated with one that used only one antenna, but the second support remained. The antennas can be disassembled and placed in a special tube-shaped support on the back of the turret roof. The system connected to the antennas is the modern single-channel ground and airborne radio system model of American design, but the first Centauros had the old-fashioned dual antenna system based on the RV3 and RV4 stations. The anemometer measures the wind speed, humidity, and outside temperature and is used by the FCS. The passive vehicle defense system is produced by Selex and consists of a laser alarm receiver connected to the TOM's laser transceiver. When the laser alarm receiver identifies a laser beam aimed at the vehicle, the onboard computer automatically activates the smoke launchers, which in a few moments create a smoke screen around the vehicle. At the same time, it rotates the periscope of the commander in the direction from which the laser beam came. This allows the crew to protect themselves from such a threat and, at the same time, allows them to respond as quickly as possible. The Centauro hull is divided into two parts. The forward compartment contains the engine, gearbox, and main fuel tank, with the fighting compartment to the rear. The fighting compartment contains the driver's position and the turret basket. The rearmost part of the fighting compartment holds the ammunition racks. The hull has two entrances. The driver's hatch leads to his position and is equipped with 3 periscopes. Only the forward-facing one has night vision using the VG/DIL 186-B1 sight produced by Meccanica per l'Elettronica e Servomeccanismi, composed of a binocular VO/IL 186 for night vision, a daytime coupled MES 82/1 model, and interface system for the optics. The VG sight has a visual field of 38 degrees. The two M17/1 periscopes for daytime vision to either side give the driver a total field of view of about 110 degrees. The driver's seat is hydraulic and allows him to drive with an open hatch. In front of the driver is the steering wheel, the brake and accelerator pedals. On the sides, he has displays with various driving data readouts and vehicle status monitors. At the rear of the hull there is an armored door which allows access and exit for all crew members and ammunition reloading. The B1 has no amphibious capacity due to its weight of over 24 tons without the add-on armor kit. The B1 Centauro is made of welded steel with thicknesses of 25mm on all sides of the turret and 40mm on the mantlet, 25mm on the front and sides of the hull, 35mm on the frontal plate, and 20mm on the back and on the turret roof. These values guarantee protection from 14.5mm armor-piercing bullets all around, and from 25mm rounds on the front arch at undeclared distances. Almost immediately, it was realized that the armor of the Centauro was too light. IVECO-FIAT, in collaboration with German and Belgian companies, researched additional panels of ceramic armor that can be applied to the sides and top of the turret and on the hull. With the additional 15mm spaced armor, the level of protection also extends to 57mm rounds. In 1993, Royal Ordnance, along with Italian industry, created an explosive reactive armor pack for this vehicle as a precaution. 10 B1s were thus equipped and sent to Somalia to support other Centauros already there for the United Nations operation in Somalia, with the result that no Centauros were lost. This package is known as Romor-A armor. These are made from Demex 200 plastic explosive that reduces the power of 125mm heat ammunition by up to 95% and can counter Soviet-built rocket launchers like the RPG-7 and RPG-29. This reactive armor is not vulnerable to light weapon hits. 10 more B1s were equipped in the same period, but they remained in Italy for training. For peacekeeping missions in the Balkans, such as the Kosovo Force, some B1 Centauros received an armor kit composed of special 15mm thick ceramic plates that protected part of the sides of the hull, partially the last two wheels of the vehicle, and also the back of the hull. With this add-on armor, the B1 had a weight of about 27.5 tons. The chemical, biological, radioactive, and nuclear system produced by the Roman company Secur is placed in the turret and allows the Centauro to operate in theaters contaminated with various agents. It has an external detector that warns the crew of danger through the acoustic system and automatically activates the fan and air filters of the air system. There are two types of filters mounted on the B1, of which one deals with larger impurities. The other one contains activated carbon and an overpressure device which, once purified air is introduced in the vehicle, increases the internal pressure, preventing the entry of air from the external contaminated environment. In the event of a breakdown of the CBRN system, individual emergency systems exist to allow the crew to operate safely and, in the event of breakdowns of the vehicle, abandon it in total safety. In addition, the B1 is equipped with two manual fire extinguishers. In addition to the laser alarm receiver system connected to the Galax 80 smoke grenades, the B1 Centauro has other safety systems, such as fire and explosion protection systems consisting of a total of 5 tanks, each with a capacity of 4 liters, that have to cover an internal space of less than 10 cubic meters. The tanks are filled with a pressurized mixture of flame retardants and halon 1301 gas, in sufficient quantity to fill the internal volume of each compartment. Halon has been used for many years in fire extinguishers but has been found to be harmful to the environment and, for this reason, prohibited from production in the European Union since 1994. The tanks, however, have only 4% halon, which does not endanger the health of the crew members and can allow the extinction of a fire in a very short period of time. One tank is positioned on the side of the ammunition stowage. 2 others are used for extinguishing fires in the engine compartment, and the other 2 tanks are fixed in the turret and are used to extinguish fires in the crew compartment. The system is also composed of optical detectors and heat-sensitive cables connected to the activation mechanism, for a total of 6 detectors and 3 cables. The system can be activated automatically by the sensors or manually by the driver or by the vehicle commander, or from outside. A red handle is placed on the left side of the vehicle, which activates the firefighting system from the outside. In the event of a fire, the system will immediately discharge 2 retardant tanks. It will signal that the operation has been carried out on the display of the commander with the red LED and send an acoustic emergency signal through the intercom system. After 2 seconds, it will activate the fans and filters of the CBRN system to purify the air inside the vehicle. In case of failure to extinguish the fire, a new fire or an explosion, the system will empty the other 2 tanks in the compartment concerned and light another red LED on the commander's panel. The Centauro has a 520 horsepower IVECO-8262 V6 engine, the same as the VCC-80 Dardo. This engine can use 2 types of fuel, diesel or JP8. At an average speed of 70 km per hour, the Centauro has a road range of 650 km. It has an automatic transmission, the ZF5HP 1500, produced under license by Fiat, which has 5 forward and 2 reverse gears. The steering axles of the vehicle allow it to have a turning radius of only 9 meters. The suspension is of the McPherson type. The pneumatic Michelin 14.00 R20 tires are of the run-flat type, which allow the vehicle to move even with all 8 wheels perforated for over 80 kilometers, obviously reducing the maximum speed. The wheels have a central tire inflation system to allow the driver to control the tire pressure and adapt it to the terrain, from 1.5 to 4.5 bars, permitting the B1 Centauro to operate in the most extreme terrains. The vehicle's low ground pressure allows it to maneuver over rocks, sand, mud, snow, and generally on most soft and rough terrain. Its maximum speed is about 130 km per hour with a road cruising speed of 110 km per hour. It can handle a maximum gradient of 60% and ford without preparation 1.5 meters of water. The Centauro can overcome vertical obstacles with a height of 0.6 meters. The Centauro was developed for reconnaissance and for use against tanks in Italy. However, it has been deployed in different environments, being used in the harsh winters of the Balkans and in the hot African deserts with good results. The first vehicles were delivered to the cavalry regiments in 1992, which until now have employed them in various operations. In the months of May and June 1999 and in the same period of 2000, the 2nd Cavalry Regiment Piedmont was deployed in Hungary and Poland for carrying out joint exercises with mechanized and armored forces of other nations. From July to November 2000 and from March to August 2001, a squadron of volunteers was sent to the Stabilization Force for Peacekeeping in Bosnia. After 2006, the regiment has been sent several times to Operation Leonte in Lebanon. In 2015, it participated in the European Union training mission for the Malian army. In 2017, the regiment again sent a battalion to Mali for the European Union training mission, and another battalion participated in the Clever Ferret Exercise 2017 in Hungary. There, on the Verpalota range, with the 7th Alpine Regiment, it worked together with Hungarian and Slovenian forces of the multinational land force in activities never previously carried out jointly. On April 6, 2004, during the Battle of the Nassiriya bridges in Iraq, 8 Centauros were used to support 4 companies of Italian soldiers with the order to capture the free bridges over the Euphrates River. The B1s were used to capture the last of the free bridges, Charlie, the furthest away from the city and the most heavily protected. As soon as the Centauro and the VCC-1s carrying the Italian soldiers arrived, they were hit by intense fire from Iraqi militants. The only target for the Centauro's 105mm guns was a building occupied by sniper militiamen, but only after they made sure of not hitting any civilian targets. 5 vehicles opened fire for a total of 6 rounds fired, which completely destroyed the building, eliminating the threat. The militiamen, in order not to have to surrender or retreat, began to use hostages. After 3 hours of negotiations between the Italian army and the terrorists, an agreement was reached and the hostages were freed. From 2001 to 2006, one squadron of the 6th Regiment Lancieri di Aosta took part in NATO operations in the Balkans. In 2006, all the squadrons were sent to Kosovo. It took part in Operation Leonte 6 in Lebanon within the framework of the United Nations Interim Force Mission in Lebanon, deployed with the 132nd Ariete Armored Brigade. In particular, the regiment was given the task of controlling the southwestern area of the west sector of UNIFIL, where the blue line, the armistice line between Lebanon and Israel, is located. The soldiers of the regiment had the task of guarding the only point of international passage between the two countries. The 8th Regiment Lancieri di Montebello was the first deployed to Somalia with 8 Centauros on September 23, 1992. Over 4 months, these covered an average of 8,400 kilometers each. They were employed as part of the United Nations operation in Somalia. On 2nd of July 1993, after a weapons gathering mission called Kanguro 11 in Mogadishu, a mechanized column composed of VCC-1 and VM-90 was blocked on the street near an abandoned Barilla pasta factory by protesting civilians. Shortly afterwards, militiamen of the Somali National Alliance arrived and began firing on the Italian soldiers with light weapons and RPG-7Ds. After heavy fighting, another column of Italian vehicles, also reinforced with 8 B1 Centauros, came to the rescue of the first. The rules of engagement for the armored vehicles denied them the use of their main armament in order to avoid civilian casualties, so the B1s opened fire with their machine guns. After having rescued some wounded soldiers from a VCC-1 hit by rocket launchers, the last B1 Centauro was about to retreat with the rest of the vehicles in the direction of the international bases. It was at this point that 2nd Lieutenant Andrea Milevoj, commander of the Centauro battalion present in the battle, was hit and killed by a Somali sniper while shooting his MG42-59 to cover the retreat. In 1992, the 19th Regiment Cavalieri Guide was sent to Somalia, where it took part in the mission Italfor. During a patrol in unclear circumstances, one of its Centauros overturned, causing the death of one of its crew members. Later in the Balkans, the regiment took part in the Missions Implementation Force and S4 in Bosnia-Herzegovina from 1995 to 2004. The 1st Regiment Nita Cavalleria, 4th Regiment Genova Cavalleria, and the 5th Regiment Lancieri di Novara participated in 2002 in an exercise in the Egyptian desert, along with other Italian regiments. From 2006 to 2007, they were deployed in Lebanon. That's all for this video. Make sure to follow our website, we'll be releasing new articles on the regular. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Reddit, and if you use Discord, there's a link to our community server in the description. Also, likes, comments, and subscriptions on YouTube are greatly appreciated. If you would like to help us continue to develop and expand, also consider donating on Patreon or PayPal. All of the funds will be used to help us enhance and design new articles and features for you. Until next time, keep us in your sights.